In this episode of Cyprus Diaspora Uncovered, legal experts and industry leaders explore how Cyprus's legal sector is adapting to a rapidly changing global landscape shaped by artificial intelligence, digital transformation, and evolving regulatory frameworks. The discussion examines the future of legal practice, the opportunities and challenges presented by emerging technologies, and the importance of delivering trusted legal services for the Cypriot diaspora and foreign nationals. This panel discussion was recorded live at the Cyprus Diaspora Forum on May 7th, 2026 at the AMARA Hotel in Limassol, Cyprus.
Hi everyone. Welcome to our legal panel. The way we're going to start this panel today is by starting with someone with some deep experience in our legal sector. Someone who I think all us younger lawyers look up to. So we're going to have our first keynote speaker address us all. That is Mr. Menelaos Kyprianou. Mr. Menelaos has spent 30 years within the legal market, without giving away your age, Mr. Menelaos. He has dealt with many complex litigation cases. He's resolved a lot of commercial conflicts in the areas of corporate, commercial, shipping law, medical negligence, and defamation. He is the managing partner of Michael Kyprianou Law, who employs 60 lawyers and with 11 offices across 9 jurisdictions. And as if this wasn't enough, Mr. Menelaos has also been appointed by the President of the Republic of Cyprus as a member of a select team as chief negotiator for peace talks that are taking place between the Turkish Cypriot and our community, and has also served as a member of the board for CISEC between 2007 and 2011. I think we can all say with such experience, we're all very much looking forward to your keynote. So please.
Thank you very much, Androula, for your kind introduction. Hello, everybody. Very nice to see you. Thank you for attending this session. So the subject, which is the evolution of legal services in Cyprus, is of course very broad. The time is limited. So I thought I will refer to 3 matters. First of all, I will speak about the basic characteristics of the Cyprus legal system. Then I will touch upon how our legal system protects foreign investors. And finally, I will speak about the modern developments with an emphasis on AI. So beginning with the characteristics of our legal system, the main characteristic is that we follow the common law. We are a common law jurisdiction, and we apply the common law, which is also applied in countries such as the UK, the US, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Canada. And the main characteristic of the common law is that there are 2 sources of law. The first source is, of course, legislation, which is passed by Parliament. And now we also, of course, have the EU regulations. But the second source, which is what differentiates the common law from other legal systems, is that the judges, when they are examining cases, they also, in essence, create the law. Because when the appeal court or the Supreme Court decides a point of law, then the lower courts have to follow under certain circumstances, of course, but they are bound by that judgment and they have to follow it. And this fact means that our law is continuously evolving and adapting to new circumstances, and there is no need for legislation to be passed for every new development. And another important facet of this is that Cyprus lawyers and Cyprus judges follow the judgments and derive knowledge and guidance from the judgments of other common law jurisdictions, and especially England. And of course, England is a very developed legal system with hundreds of years of experience and a lot of depth. So, of course, this is a very important factor that we can be guided by the judgments of English courts. Going now quickly to how foreign investors are protected in Cyprus, I will say firstly that the Cyprus Constitution protects fundamental human rights, such as the right to contract, the right to a fair trial, the right to carry on one's business, and the right to property. And there is also a special provision in our Constitution, Article 29, which provides that when a person feels aggrieved by an act of the government, of the administration, he has the right to apply in writing, and he has a right to receive a reasoned reply to his complaint or to his request within 30 days. And failure of the administration to provide such reply will give the individual the right to file a recourse at the Supreme Court. I would like to talk about a very recent case of the European. Also, before I say that, I will say that Cyprus is also a signatory to the European Court of Human Rights. And there has been a very interesting case just last week, the case of Nicolaou against Cyprus, which shows in practice how constitutional rights are protected in Cyprus. So here, the government in 1976 expropriated a large plot of land in Limassol with a size of 7,000 square feet. I will say here that expropriation is allowed under Cyprus law, as I think is in most countries of the world, provided that when the government expropriates the land, it has to do it for a purpose which is what we say in the public benefit. So it has to be a hospital or a road or something like that. And the second requirement is that the government has to act upon the expropriation. So it has to put into effect its intention within 3 years. And in this case, the expropriation took place in 1976. The government did act in relation to part of the plot, the 4,000 square feet, but in relation to the other plot, it remained unused. So the owners filed the case in the Cyprus courts. They lost in the first instance. They filed an appeal. Again, they lost. The appeal was heard by 5 judges. 3 judges found in favor of the government. 2 judges found in favor of the individual owners. And the reasoning of the Cyprus court was that, to say it simply, the government maybe had not used the whole plot, but in effect, in substance, it had carried out its intention. So after this, the owners filed a case at the European Court of Human Rights, and last week the decision was issued vindicating them and finding that the Cyprus government had breached their right to enjoy their property and to possess their property. And soon, because the European Court of Human Rights, after issuing a judgment, gives a time period to the parties to try and reach an agreement. But if they do not, then soon it will make an award of damages against the Cyprus government. So, of course, every case has its own facts, but this case, I think, shows how constitutional rights are protected in Cyprus and how if an individual is not vindicated in the Cyprus courts, he can pursue his rights. There's a third level, which is the European Court of Human Rights. Going now to the third part, which is the issue of the modern developments in law. Of course, the most important development is the infiltration of AI into the legal system. And of course, a lot has been written and discussed. Just now we had a very interesting panel with my friend Yannis Georgiadis. I will follow a slightly different approach, and I would like to discuss how English judges view AI. And I will have to make some quotations here. So we had a very recent case in the High Court of England, the case of Eileen against the London Borough of Haringey. And here we had a young barrister who submitted to the court legal arguments and submissions which she had created from ChatGPT specifically. And it later transpired that cases she had referred to were either completely wrong or in some cases non-existent. So a procedure was filed against her, and the High Court examined this case and made 4 interesting observations, statements, which I would like to share with you before I step down. So the first thing the court did is that it noted that this was not a new phenomenon. It stated, the court stated, in the context, I quote, in the context of legal research, the risks of using artificial intelligence are now well known. And in the appendix to the judgment, the High Court displayed a list of cases from various jurisdictions where lawyers had, in a sense, fallen in the same trap as with this young female barrister in England. Secondly, said the court, to cite non-existent cases or wrong cases amounts to an attempt to mislead the court. A lawyer has a duty not to mislead the court, and such conduct can lead to fines and disbarment. So a lawyer can lose his license because of such conduct. Further than that, there may also be criminal consequences and the commission of the offense of perverting the course of justice. Thirdly, said the court, and I quote, artificial intelligence is a powerful technology. It can be a useful tool in litigation, both civil and criminal. It is likely to have a continuing and important role in the conduct of litigation in the future. This comes with an important proviso, however. Artificial intelligence is a tool that carries with it risks as well as opportunities. AI is a tool, not a source of authority. This means you cannot produce AI material as a source of authority. Sources of authority are the official judgments of the court. They are the writings of eminent scholars or official databases, but not AI. And fourthly, I think very interesting, and this has a general application maybe, the court said, freely available artificial intelligence tools trained on a large language model such as ChatGPT are not capable of conducting reliable legal research. Such tools can produce apparently coherent and plausible responses to prompts, but those coherent and plausible responses may turn out to be entirely incorrect. The responses may make confident assertions that are simply untrue. They may cite sources that do not exist. They may purport to quote passages from a genuine source that do not appear in that source. Of course, AI is a huge topic in itself, but I think that in these early days, from the legal perspective, we can say that it is the lawyer's duty to ensure human review of materials prepared by non-human technology. AI, while a promising tool, is not a replacement for human responsibility and oversight, at least yet. I'm very wary of the time constraints, so I think I will stop here. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, so thank you very much. Very interesting topics, and I'm sure that we're going to pick up on some of those topics as well. So now I want to bring in some other perspectives. Today we have with us on our panel Ms. Stefani Georgiadou from Georgiadis and Associates. She leads the corporate department and generally advises international investors on cross-border structures, transactions, and regulatory work. We also have with us Ms. Georgia Thoma, who is a partner at Frangos Law in Larnaca. Georgia advises on corporate, finance, and regulatory matters and deals in general with coordinating across stakeholders, managing risk, and ensuring that legal strategy is delivered in practice. And we also have an outsider to the legal world, Mr. Gridon Papasteriou, who is the CEO of CasePal, who I am sure is going to tell us all about AI today. He works closely with law firms on how legal services are structured and tries to bring efficiency into systems with the use of AI. So thank you, everyone. What I'm going to start with is this perception of Cyprus being a cross-border hub. We all like to advertise Cyprus as this cross-border hub, and what I want to know is it perception? Is it real? Is it something that we actually are? So I'm going to start with Stefani, and I want to ask you, why do you think Cyprus is a place people choose to come? And is there really a competitive advantage to Cyprus over other jurisdictions?
Yes, thank you, Andrela. And thank you for having me. I would say in many ways it is a familiar jurisdiction. It is an EU member state. English is widely used in the country, so anyone coming here instantly feels comfortable. Also, as Manila said, it is influenced by the UK common law, so this is something that is attractive to many people. Having said that, it definitely is competitive for various, for example, the location. I'm sure it is the gateway between Europe, Middle East, and Asia. Is it me?
No, I think it's
okay. It's not us.
No.
Okay. So, and then, of course, in terms of tax advantages, both for businesses and individuals, we see that a lot of people come to Cyprus for their business, but also for their own personal tax residency purposes. Tax incentives like the IP box. Now with technology, a lot of tech companies choose to come to Cyprus due to they receive the EU protection of the IP rights, but also they benefit from the tax IP box tax regime. Aside from that, on a business operation level, Cyprus has like a relatively fast company incorporation procedure. Like the operation costs are lower than other jurisdictions. It has more accessibility to professionals. Also useful in many ways is there's more direct communication to the authorities, which is definitely useful. So I think in general, and then of course it's the obvious is the lifestyle, or for relocation purposes, it is high quality of life, safe environment. So people, entrepreneurs who want to come to Cyprus, they feel instantly more comfortable to also relocate families. So yes, I would say it's competitive, but also familiar in a sense. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think I agree with all of those points that you've made as far as the advantages are concerned in Cyprus. I'll go to Georgia now, and I want to ask you, Georgia, from your experience, do we have cross-border projects in Cyprus? And in those cross-border projects, what do you think our system does well? And what do you think perhaps could be modified or changed to make it work better?
Thank you, Androla, and good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today. I will say that Cyprus does well in many aspects, and this is probably due to the fact that Cyprus is and has been throughout the years jurisdiction with a service-oriented economy. And this has led to the creation of professional services ecosystem that is used to work with international clients, foreign counsel, and multi-jurisdictional structures. So this has allowed us to be more sophisticated and to be able to assist and provide legal advice which can support even complex matters. Also, I will say that as lawyers, we provide a quality of work and professionalism that can't be easily compared to those provided in other jurisdictions. And from my experience working in a full-service law firm, I will say that what clients usually expect is to provide advice that is not only legally sound, but also commercially aware and practical. And I think this is something that not only lawyers, but generally professionals in Cyprus are trying to achieve when serving a client. Having said that, I would say it becomes much more challenging when there are external bureaucratic processes that have to be followed during a project. Whether this is the obtainment of governmental or regulatory approval, or the obtaining a permit or planning license in a real estate project, or even the onboarding procedures that clients may have to go through at various different stages when they want to engage a lawyer, an accountant, an auditor, and then to do their banking onboarding. I mean, they have to go through it again and again, and you're not really sure what will be expected each time. So these kind of things create difficulties. They might cause delays in projects, and the lack of clarity to the timing that is involved may create an uncertainty to clients that may affect the overall experience they may have in Cyprus, even if from the professional services sector, the advice they receive and the support may be strong. So I think this is my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that one of the things that we are challenged with at the moment as lawyers, as law firms and service providers, is we can provide the best service, but can't control outside of our own walls what the bank wants, whether they will open a bank account, if they will be stopped from, getting their papers, how long it will take at the authorities. And that can hold us back as a business as well, and the service we want to provide to our clients. So yeah, completely agree with you. That's definitely something. I'll go to Gridon then. And Gridon, you've heard what Yoria says, that, one of the problems that we have is pretty much all the documentation in KYC, everything that we need to do, and they're doing it at multiple steps during a process. Being someone who is involved in large language models, in AI, someone who is focusing on the legal sector with AI, is there something that can help in that and help a professional service provider, a law firm, handle this?
First of all, thanks a lot. It's a great opportunity to be here, and I always love to come back in Cyprus. So I think there's a great opportunity here. There's a great opportunity to allow lawyers to focus on the judgment and advocacy by freeing time in terms of procedures that are quite repetitive. But also there's anyone that worked in a law firm knows that how many tasks that are quite repetitive or can be more efficient through AI. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here. I think the cross-border element is extremely important here because leveraging AI effectively can give an additional competitive advantage to Cyprus. And one thing that is really great is that I would say Cyprus is leveraging technology faster than the wider region, and that's extremely important. And essentially, when you build an economy that is so services oriented, and you have many companies coming here, you have more legal work, but also being more efficient in how you handle legal work means more companies come as well. So it has a spillover effect. And I think that's very positive. So being more competitive on how you provide legal services can give a wider opportunity for Cyprus economy as well, and for the amount of legal work that is happening. I know that there are a lot of lawyers here. I don't think anyone feels that there's less legal work with AI. I think there's more, and I think that's positive. We can do more, and we can focus on stuff that have higher value. I think what is missing is actually spending more time on strategically preparing, assisting clients, negotiating in front of our clients, and actually spending time on high value advocacy.
Yeah, I completely agree that I think we all feel that we are bogged down in the paperwork a lot of the time, and AI can be our solution. So that leads me on to, okay, we've spoken about how potentially we can use AI, but Stefani, do you feel that we have clients coming to our offices now who are a lot more informed, or have you been the victim of the AI ChatGPT essay being sent to your email and asked, is this correct? Or I have drafted my contract, can you just check it? Has that changed, that approach of clients to lawyers, has that changed how you approach clients?
Definitely. I mean, exactly what you described happens quite a lot. But I mean, it's changed the way that before the clients were just coming to lawyers mainly for information, and now that's changed drastically. So they have all the information ready. The job of the lawyer, I feel, has changed and evolved into you are more expected to provide the solution, or your creative thinking, your practical solutions, and listen to the client, their circumstances, and apply that to their circumstances. Also explains to the client how it may or may not apply to their case, because, it's generic, sometimes it's generic information. So in this way, AI has helped a little bit the legal advisors to be a little bit more critical, creative in their advice, instead of just bombarding them with information only. And I would say it would there's no doubt that lawyers are well-read, knowledgeable, and but at the end of the day, the AI will distinguish a well-read lawyer from a well-read lawyer that is also creative and practical-minded. So the client immediately will understand the difference between the approach of a lawyer. So this is and this is what we also try to do on the daily, obviously.
Yeah. Do you think though that maybe we as lawyers need to also up our game in terms of communication, in terms of how we deal with a client being fast and
Yes,
being
definitely.
reactive?
Yes, efficiency now is huge. If you delay in responding, I understand that the client definitely expects quicker results, quicker answers. So it's definitely affected that. But at the same time, don't forget that the AI also helps the lawyers. I mean, so for efficiency. So it's like a cycle that the lawyers also use it as a tool. So it builds work, but it's just a matter of basically taking each client in. It's not everything is the same anymore, as in procedural wise or advice wise. You need to. It's more personal to each client.
Yeah, even more of a personal touch.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Georgia, that brings me on to, okay, so all our clients want a personal touch. All our clients want fast advice and they want a meeting today. Yeah. So in your experience, is there a gap between what clients expect and also what we can actually do as humans and not machines?
I will, yes, I agree with you. And I will build upon the discussion you were just having with Stephanie. I will say the biggest gap indeed is the difference between the expectations the clients have for a quick and clear answer and the reality that to give advice, there is a thorough process that we have to go through in order for this advice to be able to give this advice. And this is indeed probably because people now are more informed, whether by using AI or even by considering and getting the opinion of other professionals as well. But this in sometimes might be helpful because it can allow the discussion to be more precise. But on the other hand, it creates expectations that an answer can be immediately given. However, we are all aware that in a complex legal and regulatory world, there are various elements that have to be taken into consideration. And this is something that most clients do not know from the outset. And this is where the gap arises. Of course, it's on us to bridge this gap. And this can be done through communication, of course. So a modern client, one who also uses AI, will also be capable enough to understand once explained properly that we're not trying to complicate things or make a matter appear more complex. We just want to be able, and this has always been the case with lawyers, to be able to give advice and support that is precise, robust, and can be relied upon that particular client. So I think this is what the main gap is. But I think we are in a position to bridge it, provided that we explain this probably to the client.
Excellent. Thank you, Georgia. Gridon, picking up on what Georgia just said, this idea of us lawyers overcomplicating things. I think all of us know that that's what we get back from clients. And I think one thing that's happening right now is that clients are using LLMs to create contracts that seem very simple and seem to do the job. obviously that then creates a wider gap between what we know we have to add into a contract and, you know, based on our due diligence and so forth. In your experience, does AI muddy the waters between clients and lawyers, and how can that be approached?
Yeah, I think that's a real challenge. I don't work with clients specifically in a front-facing manner, but what I can say on that is that, as we said before, there's a risk and an opportunity here. Mm-hmm. I think there's a great opportunity with clients being able to understand a bit more on what's going on also on the legal aspect. I have legal background, so running a startup, I can work with lawyers more efficiently also for our legal stuff. Mm-hmm. But that's not true for every business owner. This is not true for every founder. So having a better understanding sometimes of a complex legal document can help. We even have a tool for that in case, but it's called Simplify, mm-hmm. which is essentially to simplify communication between legal and also somebody that is not accustomed to legal text. So there's a huge opportunity there, but also there's a risk. And I think I might not be experiencing it because I do not work with clients directly, so I don't have the negative experience of receiving contracts that might be hallucinated there, maybe. Yeah. We have it in software as well. So like vibe coded apps that they look great, they have a great interface, but then the backend aspect, the security aspect, anything goes wrong there. So I do understand that aspect as well. But I also do believe really that there's a huge opportunity for enabling business owners understanding more what their issues are, but at the same time, it still needs to, this technology needs to still be domain specific, needs to be for lawyers. And that's why we chose as well not to work directly with the clients, but rather work through the lawyers. Yeah. Because otherwise you have a huge risk. And we discussed as well before that responsibility and accountability as well is a huge aspect in legal work. And I think that would remain for the time to come. So what do you think law firms need to do then to be able to implement AI safely? We heard Mr. Menelaos talking about hallucinations, people losing their licenses because they are using AI. It's challenging and it's difficult because actually we might just be doubling up our work. You know, sometimes you don't want to use AI because you don't want to thoroughly check those sources as well, and then also your work and maybe your junior's work, and we're just creating more work for ourselves by using AI sometimes. How can that be fixed, and what can a law firm do to create the efficiency we were talking about earlier, but to avoid the pitfalls Mr. Menelaos was talking about? So there's a few things on that. I believe it requires a strategic choice that it's also on the company level. So I think the worst case scenario is that you do not make a choice. So anybody in the law firm can use whatever tool is available. They can use them at home, they can use whatever, and then you do not have control of where client data goes. You also, as an executive management or as a partner, you're unsure where client data goes, but also how it is used, in which type of tasks. So I think step zero, before we go to DMS and whether everything is digitalized, is to actually have a strategic approach as a law firm or as an enterprise on what are you going to do with AI. I think practically speaking, especially nowadays, the market has matured quite a bit. We also see that most systems right now have good security. They are ready to be implemented or deployed to practice. So I do believe that the first step is to actually make a strategic choice that you are going to use AI as a law firm. This needs to happen in a central company level. So you have one system, you have a reliable vendor that you can talk to, you can have support, you can actually work together. And then an important aspect that has to do with performance is to actually have your data digitalized so you can connect it with your data management system. But even if not, you can also discuss with your colleagues which tasks are most relevant to work with AI. So for example, no matter which system you use, AI is not that great in finding case law.
It's horrible at finding case law.
And there are practical reasons for that.
Yeah.
It's better at finding legislation. It's better perhaps in also finding internal knowledge, which I think this is an even bigger opportunity than case law.
Yeah.
If you can leverage internal.
I think that's what lawyers aren't grasping though, is that AI can help you in terms of internal knowledge rather than outside sources as a law firm. And I think that's what CasePal does quite well, if I'm not mistaken.
I think this is where the biggest opportunity lies.
Yeah.
Because you would still need, we couldn't before leverage internal knowledge that effectively and that efficiently. If you pitch that idea that, for example, a law firm that has hundreds of cases, you could find information so quickly without having to call your other colleagues or send a junior down in the dock room or anything related to that. That's a huge opportunity, and this is what we are focusing on. But there's also other stuff like review. Review is also a big thing. Due diligence, risk assessment, impact assessment.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, you can review a magnitude of documents which you weren't able before, and it would not be practical human-wise. You do not have as many expert eyes to look over thousands and thousands of documents. So I think there are great opportunities, but we also need to be risk-averse and know where to not use AI as in such a bullish manner.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And on that then, I'll go to Stephanie, who is a lawyer in a law firm, and listening to Gridon, are we ready? Are we ready for AI? And does it change the way you work day to day, or is it just a tool now that we use just like we would use Leginet, CY Law, or is it just now a tool?
It is a tool. It's definitely a tool. But at the same time, for me personally, it has changed the way I work. Not to a drastic level, but I mean, it does help me for various things, internal, like you say. But I also had the opportunity recently to experiment a little bit with Harvey. In a complex submission that we had to file or prepare, and I did actually see a very that it did show practical value. I mean, this case was huge. Like Gridon said, there was a lot of documents, files that we had to go through. And for cases like that, or for large volumes of documents, it does add value to the work. So I believe it is a very positive. It has a bit of a negative sort of. No one knows, or when they speak, they don't know clearly whether it's a positive or a negative. But for me, it is a positive development, and I think that with time, it will incorporate itself into the legal profession. But as I said earlier, it's you need the legal mind also, obviously, and it needs to be interpreted and analyzed. So it's a tool that personally it does change the way I work. Yes, I mean, I've been a lawyer for since 2015 in Cyprus. And I've seen a big change with AI in the way we work. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Georgia, Stephanie says, yes, it does. It does change the way I work day to day. And I think all of us will agree that it has changed practically how we do our work. And I know that you deal with quite complex transactions at your firm. You have some quite large cases, being one of the largest law firms in Larnaca. Do you think in those complex transactions we can trust AI to review documentation when you've got millions of clients, millions of euros of your clients on the line? Do you have to look at it with your own eyes? Can we trust AI?
I think we're not there yet. And I think that I will agree with Stephanie that it can be useful as a tool, but for administrative or organizational purposes. So, for example, in a complex transaction, it can be helpful to create, let's say, a first draft of a checklist of things that we will have to do. But even there, it will be a draft that it will have to be reviewed. It can assist you to create a timeline on the basis of document that will be provided. But still, at the end of the day, it does not, it cannot be used and it cannot substitute the legal judgment, the critical judgment that is required when handling complex cases or transactions. This is because, there's, as I said before, various elements that will have to be looked into, even to decide how to respond to an email, or even to decide how you'll make out a negotiating point, or of course the drafting of an agreement. Because when you do so, you'll consider, let's say, the characters of the key players in a transaction, the risk appetite of a client, the any financial, banking, or tax considerations that you have to have in mind. And even if you do consider all these, and let's say you put them into ChatGPT, you'll be the one who will be able to have the critical judgment to decide the weight that you'll put in each of those considerations, and whether there are things that you can ignore or live with if they're not successful. So I think, yes, we can use AI, but just as a tool at this point. And if I will trust it to do the work, I will say, and I think it happens to all of us, that usually when I have a conversation with AI, at the end of the day, I find out that I am right and it's wrong.
I think that's a lawyer enough.
Yeah, and I think I might spend half an hour of my time. So at the end of the day, I'll decide that I know what to do and I didn't need to ask.
Yeah. I get that completely, because sometimes you can go off on a tangent and actually it makes your work sometimes more complex than it needs to be.
It takes more time.
Yeah.
It takes more time because you actually insist on trying to see that it might come up with a different or better answer. Yeah. But at the end of the day, because we do have critical judgment, I mean, this is what we have learned. I wouldn't say from the university, but from our experience afterwards. And this cannot be replaced.
Yeah, I completely agree. Who said yes?
We don't know what...
We don't know. Gridon, do you think yet? Is there a way that AI is going to replace us? That's the question every lawyer has on their mind.
So I was saying that case briefs were the worst thing ever, because you had to actually, especially when you are not experienced and you are really lost and you are scared to not miss anything, you had to read 90 pages and distill the information and actually try to make a text. You don't have to do that anymore. And this is substantive part of the work. And there's a lot of elements in legal work that you can say that, you don't have to actually read every single line and spend so much time on such information. So we couldn't imagine it 4 years ago. We can imagine it now. We work with it now. We also can see that in 4 years, we might have technology that for some stuff, it's more reliable than us humans. And this happens in history. And why I'm saying that? Again, that doesn't mean that lawyers are not going to be needed, or advocacy, or a critical judgment, or having a thorough context of a situation that also has to do with risk appetite of the client, what's the business aspect, what is the strategic element. But what that could mean is that the industry might change. We might have situations that work like due diligence gets agentic first and human-centric later. So, for example, it identifies all the risk, and then expert lawyers evaluate the identified risks. And we see that already. So I do see these things happening. And I also have to highlight the following. When a technology gets better, it gets better very fast. And this is what's happening with AI. We've seen like the past decades, nobody wanted to work with AI because it didn't have like any business element. You could not introduce it to professional work. So it was very far-fetched for a tech provider to actually like work AI for lawyers. It couldn't work. Now you can do it. And I think the amount of investment and the amount of focus, both from the lawyer side and also the tech side, creates an effect that technology gets better faster. And us humans need to get faster and better on how we leverage that technology.
Yeah. I think you all know that I'm very big on education within the legal world. And I think that one of the things that is missing in general is that connection between the tech and the lawyer, us understanding how the tech works so that we can understand then how to leverage it. Understanding what tasks can be delegated to an AI agent, what tasks cannot be, where there is risks in using AI, where there are no risks, and then also just generally how to implement it firm-wide. And because, you hear from tech people, oh, you need to have an AI strategy. Well, how? How do I create that AI strategy is the very first question we ask. And I think that there needs to be more education in that space in general, as my personal opinion. So I'm just going to...
Maybe on that, there needs to be education, but also there needs to be an approach that we understand that the technology is going to be very impactful. So yes, it is a tool, but it's a tool that strategically affects how we work. So we need to take it very seriously, and how we make strategies should not be only on now, because that's easy, but also in the years ahead, 3 or 4 years ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to finish off, and all I want from you now is to tell me, imagine you have an investor coming to your office and they want to invest in Cyprus. What are the top 3 things you tell them to convince them to invest in Cyprus and use your services? What do we do well?
As I said in the beginning, it is a combination of things. I don't think, but I mean, the main thing is that it's become very international business oriented. It is, if you have a basis in Cyprus and you make a structure in Cyprus, then you are very easily, you have exposure internationally. It's also, I mean, for people who want to relocate, it's obviously a very nice place to live. And then, I mean, this is a standard of the tax advantages. But the main thing is that it is a very international business-oriented place. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Julia?
Yeah, of course, I agree with everything that Stephanie has just said. I will say that we have a robust legal system that can offer stability and certainty to the clients. Even the recent tax reformation, it's something that clients were aware a lot of time before it actually happened. So they were prepared on the changes to be made. And I mean, it has been ages since the previous amendment of the legislation. And this is all within a full EU regulated environment. And I think this is very important for investors and in particular from third countries. Yeah. So as a gateway to Europe, of course, we offer the location, the tax advantages, and you're actually in an EU regulated jurisdiction. And I think this is most important.
Yeah, completely agree. And then a couple of words, Gudon, on AI, please.
I should talk about Cyprus? Okay.
Well, I'm not going to put you in that position to tell us about the legal framework of Cyprus.
No. I think that has been covered. But I have to say, though, on Cyprus, what is very great is that it imports a lot of talent. Yeah. Actually, companies come here we don't have a lot of places in Europe that companies intentionally come here. And that has a spillover effect on talent. And you can see this in other places also in the US. For example, San Francisco is like that. A lot of companies, a lot of talent goes there. We are not there yet, but we could be the San Francisco of Europe. Why not? We have the weather. It's similar vibe. I was there like 2 weeks ago. It's very similar vibe. And at the same time, people here are quite entrepreneurial. People here are business first. And that's extremely important. So it's a very good positive of Cyprus, and that's why I love coming here always. I think we discussed about where AI could head. If a last word that I would say because I see it as well from a legal background, is to always think what could be next.
Yeah.
I think it's so central to what we do that we need to focus on the now, but we should also focus on what happens in the years ahead. And that's extremely important for our business, but also how we service our clients.
Excellent. Thank
Great.
you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you.
And thank you to Mr. Menelaos Kyprianou and to our panelists. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Cyprus Diaspora Uncovered. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for more inspiring conversations that are shaping Cyprus's global future. You can also explore more episodes on our website and selected video interviews on our YouTube channels.